This is why you died.
Hello all, and welcome back to This Is Why You Died, the show that's kind of like the horror movie equivalent of a Bob Ross Joy of Painting episode. Only we paint in gore and viscera, and our happy little accidents end up with someone being buried alive or crumpled in a broken heap at the bottom of the staircase. It's all for you, Damien. I, of course, am Sir Ian Dangerous, aka your Uncle Frank, and joining me as always are the two men with no limits to their imaginations when their imaginations turn to carnage. Happy little tree, Dan March of Madness, and the man who doesn't laugh because he feels good because he laughs, Ryan Ross Live.
Hey, that was great. I just pictured like Damien killing his what is that? Like, I don't know, killing somebody. His stepmom.
Yeah.
And then you just cut to Bob Ross.
Adopted
Bob Ross going, that was a happy little accident.
Happy little. It's like he's picking the pinkies off. She's holding on to the banister. One little piggy, two little piggy. Oops, a happy little accident.
Long live the king.
Yes,
we are, of course, the show that discusses horror films that we choose based on prompts that we draw at random from the 666 words and phrases in our buckets of the beast. And today we have a very interesting situation because also on the show we have something called powers. Every season we all get renewed with these magical powers that allow us to do certain things to each other on this show. And one of those powers is a hex. And I drew the prompt Fangs, which then caused our Ryan Ross Live over there to
jump down your throat.
You jumped down all of our throats. Ryan, would you like to explain what your hex was before we get into this episode?
Of course. So, for those who missed earlier episodes in the show, Ian and I had a little bit of bones to pick with each other after we watched Sinners, because I love vampires, but I haven't seen a lot of vampire movies. I'm mostly a fan of vampires through other media, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, fantasy novels, games, etc., etc. I'm very familiar with vampires as a concept, as a mythological creature style approach. I haven't seen a lot of film renditions, and Ian had a bit of had a little bit of issues with Sinners adaptation, whereas I was a huge fan of the Sinners adaptation. And so we had a whole conversation about what makes vampires. And so when he drew Fangs, as wild and on the nose as it was, I had to take this opportunity to use the hex to bring us into let's do some vampire education. Let's do some vampire movies, but not just any vampire movies. I had everybody pick their quintessential vampire film. What is their prime example of what a vampire in film looks like? Which was fun for me because I hadn't seen any other than like Sinners, which we covered, and Twilight, which I don't think any of us consider to be quintessential anything.
No.
So, although I do think that there's something to be said about, it seems like Twilight might be in response to some things, which we'll get to.
Okay.
But that all said, we decided that the hexes we were watching these vampire movies, and the first set of which was Ian's pick to start off the channel.
Right. That's exactly correct, Ryan. And I am very glad that you brought up Twilight because we're going to have to talk about it, sadly, on the show later on. But we're not going to do it right now because we got to do a couple of things before we get into our movie of the day, our vampire movie of the day. We're going to have 3 vampire movies back to back. This one and then 2 more after this. But today, we're going to start with one of my quintessential vampire movies. But I'll talk about that in a second. Because, boys, first things first, we got to do the news. Oh, what is happening? What is happening? Boys, our last episode was on Obsession. Perhaps you boys have been keeping up with what's been going on, but Obsession is crushing at the box office. It's absolutely bonkers. It has made all kinds of history. It's Focus Features' biggest release ever by a fairly long shot now. And it has actually domestically outgrossed a Star Wars movie, Mandalorian and Grogu falling behind, and Obsession quickly catching up. According to Deadline, Obsession has now earned $286.5 million globally, 188 of that domestically, which is kind of interesting that it's not really that big overseas, but that's huge numbers domestically. Just for example, also weirdly enough, Variety has it at $265 million globally. So I'm not sure what the discrepancy is there, but either way, it's now grossed more than Blair Witch. It's grossed more than Get Out, and it's coming up on passing the global take for Mandalorian and Grogu, which is 315 million worldwide. If it keeps tracking the way that it is, it will actually surpass that. That's kind of the craziest story about Obsession right now, is the fact that it was growing for 3 weekends in a row. Its first weekend, it made 17.1 million domestically. Second weekend, it made 23.9 million domestically. And the third weekend, the first time this has happened since E.T. in 1992, it had a 14.3% increase and grossed $27.3 million. And then this weekend, it barely had a fall off, only minus 7.3% to come in at 25.3 million, taking back the number 2 spot this week, that's insane. This kind of growth is almost never seen for a movie. Massive word of mouth, massive staying power. Boys, what do you think is the reason Obsession is hitting such a nerve? Dan, why do you think that it's tracking this way?
I don't know. It looks like Ryan had a point. I'll jump to Ryan first.
I was just going to throw in there, it also became the top grossing Fest acquisition of all time.
Yes.
Which is a huge record, too. It came from the Toronto Film Festival.
Fahrenheit 9/11 was the previous record holder with $222 million.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, yeah, biggest festival acquisition ever. Dan, why? Why is this movie so huge?
I think there's the marketing was really smart of it. I think that they didn't let out, they teased a lot of it. I think it's really smart that once the movie hit and it became such a hit immediately, they started, at least my feed started being flooded with behind the scenes and then people talking about specific moments. And I think what was really great too is that Focus pulled back and Universal pulled back a digital release, forcing people now to be like, because people are still going to the theater. So now there's no reason, there's no date of like, well, in 2 weeks I'll be able to watch it at home. No, nobody knows. So people are going back to the theater because they want. What I've been seeing is a lot of younger people filming the movie, sadly, but filming just the moments because they want to be able to post it. They want to they're analyzing the movie, but they're not able to share it the way that like we so have easily been like, well, 2 weeks after the movie came out, now I'm putting these memes. They're not able to do that. So a lot of people are like taking movie theater footage to make their own commentary. So they're going back to the theaters again and again to rewatch it. And of course, it's that word of mouth, and people are saying you got to see this crazy scene. And if you're not able to watch it online, then you want to go to the theater and have that experience. And I mean, it's so exciting. It feels like when I was younger, like where you were returning to the theater again and again and again when you had like the summer. Like I remember the summer when Jurassic Park came out, I was like at the theater every weekend for like months, just like gotta see Jurassic Park again, gotta see it again. And that's just what it feels like. It has that energy again, and it's so exciting to have like this feeling of cinema sort of like coming back, the theatrical experience coming back.
And
I love it.
Also, what I'm sensing and what I'm seeing a lot of is people who wouldn't normally see horror movies are getting word of mouth and being told like, check this one out, or they're seeing, as you say, memes from it online. And so it's becoming kind of a cultural phenomenon, a juggernaut in a way. And also a bit of a touchstone, I think, maybe even for Gen Z, because they're seeing a lot of reflections of their generation in this movie, whether it be talking about the manosphere, whether it's kind of the incel culture and the weird relationships that they're starting to actually have conversations about, whether it's just kind of the way that these characters live, which might look very familiar to Gen Z. A lot of reasons, I think. I'm not being Gen Z myself, I can't really speak to that. But Ryan, do you have a lot of people in your circle that are talking about Obsession and getting people out to see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a huge. I think it comes down to three things, because we've already talked about the marketing a bunch. But I think that to your point, this appeals to a lot of people because it feels like a relatable horror movie. This isn't a zombie. This isn't a curse.
Exactly.
This isn't something crazy. This is something that's very grounded of like a relationship, which I think widens that audience a lot broader. And then two, to Dan's point, because the creative team comes from the digital world, there's all that BTS was pre-planned. It's all filmed during. Like, we're getting all the stuff that they planned ahead of, like, oh, people would like to see this. And it's not the big corporate, like, massive studio produced thing where it's like, oh, like, we can't film this, there's union rules, there's all this stuff or whatever. It was them just like on their phones like, hey, we want to record this because we think it would be cool. I've seen the actress who played Sarah recorded the beginning of the car scene just like by putting her phone in like the cup holder of the car. Like, clearly they were all just having fun and taking that stuff. But then three, I think, to Dan's point with the rewatchability, there's so much detail in this movie. One thing that we didn't cover on the episode that I found out after.
Great point.
I saw an interview with Curry Barker about how the chime that plays with the One Wish Willow, they put a bunch of like design intention into the chime, but the chime changes based off of different parts of the movie. And like, I noticed that it was like detuned, but it's actually a totally different tune of when he first uses it, you get the wish chime, but then whenever he tries to use it later, it's like almost a warning tone. Like, it's not just detuned, it's a different melody. That is like you can't do it. You've already used yours. Like, how dare you try again? But then when
spoilers.
Well, spoilers, but
mild.
Then mild spoilers, and then actual spoiler at the end. When spoiler for Obsession. Warning.
Warning.
At the end when Nikki, right?
Yes.
Nikki tries
Freaky
to.
Nikki.
When Nikki tries to does it at the end, the chime's normal again because she hasn't used it, so it's back to the normal chime. So like that level of detail is the level of planning and the level of intention really shines through and helps with rewatch.
Another thing is that I'm seeing a lot of, and this is like younger people posting about it, and then I even saw Curry Barker repost it because he's like, oh, somebody figured it out. Is that slight spoiler, during the party scene, he says like, kiss the person on your left. And they broke down every shot, and Nikki's always on his right in every shot. She's always on the right of him, and Sarah is always on the left. Every framing, they've always put her on the left side of the frame, and Nikki is always on the right. No matter like montage sequences where they're sitting, how they're
interesting.
It's like she's always on the right. So it was like, and he planned it. So because when somebody pointed it out, he reposted it. And it was like, oh, cool, somebody figured out what I did, and I was just like, man, like there's a lot of detail, and again, like a lot of people want to see it again for those reasons.
We said it last episode when we talked about it. He's a very smart filmmaker. We're very impressed by it. We were very impressed by that movie. And if you are still listening right now and you haven't seen it and you listen through the spoilers, go watch this fucking movie. There's a reason everyone's going to see it. There's a reason why the word of mouth is so good. It is a fantastic movie. And that's not to say anything about Backrooms, another movie by someone from the YouTube world, another young guy. Curry Barker's 26, and the director of Backrooms is 20. He was 19 when he filmed it.
Which is insane.
That's also doing mad business. Backrooms has done $249 million globally.
Wow.
So not that far off. They're both going to be in the top 10s by the end of the year. So
can you imagine directing a multi-$100 million film before you were out of college? That's insane.
I wish.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But hey, they're off to the races. Very happy for them. Very happy for horror as a genre, because when you see successes like this, it means that more projects will be greenlit. So very fun for our nice little genre here that it's doing so well at the box office. But that is the news for right now, which brings us to our next segment, and I feel like we already just had one because Dan was fired up.
I sort of talked a lot. So
you did, but you know what? We have a moment on every one of our shows where we force our Dan March of Madness to speak for a minute straight and rant about something.
Can I refer to notes for this one? Because
I don't think that you should be able to refer to notes, but that's fine.
No.
Go for it. Yeah, it's fine.
Hold on, I'm trying.
As long
to
as you don't have
find
your speech written out beforehand.
No, it's not a speech. It's just so I can refer to figures.
Okay, all right.
Hold on.
We'll allow it.
Preparation work.
I got it.
Preparation work allowed.
I got it. It's just so I can just show what I
All
found.
right.
Let me turn
Notes
off
will
my.
allow.
I don't know what this is.
He's
Ryan
playing
Ross
music.
Live
Okay,
is
I didn't
ready
mean
over there.
I'm ready to go. And,
Ready over there?
After the March Minute, I have a personal fun thing I want to mention, but this has nothing to do with the March Minute. But here we go.
Man, Dan's
Just
got a
saying.
lot of things to say
I
today.
got a lot of
All
things
right.
happening. Before
Ryan-
we get into the vampires, I gotta talk about the real life. Okay,
all
here we go.
Okay. Maybe we need 2 March minutes today. But all right, Ryan Ross Live is sitting over there with the
minute he
timer
starts talking.
ready to go. So let's go. 3, 2, 1, March a minute, go.
Okay, this is a great segue into what we just talked about. There's a lot of young filmmakers going out there and really breaking ground. And me, as double their age, I was like, God, what am I doing with my life? Because I want to be a director too. But something popped up in my feed. It was like my phone and the algorithm was listening to me and they said,
45?
Don't feel so sad, Daniel. And it said, yes. This is what popped up in my feed. It said, yes, Kane Parsons directed Backrooms at 20 and Curry Barker directed Obsession at 26. But Ridley Scott directed Alien at 40. Denis Villeneuve directed Incendiaries at 43. Park Chan-wook directed Oldboy at 40. Sean Barker directed The Florida Project at 44. And who else? Michael Haneke directed Funny Games at 47. And anyways, I'm saying, no age. There's no age limit. It gave me the ability. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna rock it. I think I still have a chance. I may be in my 40s, but I still have some horror. And if you have the story, tell it. Don't let age be a thing.
1.
You know what? Tell your story. Got it.
Hey, really good. And well done, Dan. Brought it in right on time.
Sorry, it was kind of a rambling, but
no, you got there. A missive to everyone out there: never give up on your dreams.
Everyone moves at their own pace. Life ain't a race.
That's right. And Dan, you are a horror director. I mean, as you said, you shot in the Obsession House after they filmed there. So come on.
It was not a horror movie, though. It was a real estate social media video, but horrific nonetheless.
You got to pay the bills, man. You got to pay the bills.
Those
that's
house prices are skyrocketing. And that's horrific. So
it's the year of our Lord 2026. We all need 3 or 4 jobs and some side hustles. But that being said, we are here on this show today to talk about vampires.
Ooh.
And I am so excited to get into this. Dan, you said you had something else to say about vampires before we get into
before we get into vampires, I just wanted to do a big shout out. This will already have happened by this coming out, but a independent feature that one of my best friends directed and my other best friend it was a cinematographer for got into Dances with Films, a very major film festival. And so by the time this show comes out, we'll have already been there, but we have the premiere red carpet at the Man's Chinese Theater. So it's going to be a big premiere and it's a big night. We have a Saturday night premiere, which they're doing 2 Latin directors because the movie's called Angelino. J. Diaz, the director, writer, editor. Tony Jun is the cinematographer. They're my 2 great friends, and we've been making stuff together. But I just want to give them a shout out because, like I said, we're talking about horror, we're talking about stuff, but we're all doing our things and we're all following our passions, and it's just amazing when things start to work out when you really grind and you do it for a long time. Like in this industry, it's tough, but things can happen. So I just got to give a shout out because I'm really excited about it happening for everybody.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here's hoping the premiere goes well. Or has gone well when people listen
Let
to
us
this.
know.
Yeah,
let us know when we can watch
Angelino
somewhere.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Hopefully somebody buys it, and then I'll just say, go to the theater and see it.
Funnily enough, speaking of film festivals, the Marina Del Rey Film Festival is coming up, and I had a movie that I was in that I did some acting in called Jinx, which will be showing at the Marina Del Rey Film Festival.
Look at that.
Let's go.
So, yeah,
I'm going to the marina.
Pretty cool. Credits. Hey, what do you know? But we're not here to talk about movies that we did. Not yet. But you are doing your name is in credits on things.
I'm in credits in video games.
That's right. So come on, don't sell yourself short. Everyone moves at their own pace. But we got to move on to some vampires here. Let's go, because Ryan, as he said, he challenged us to find our quintessential vampire movies, and I was horribly torn. And thank you, Ryan, for picking up the slack on this one and choosing my other kind of like iconic vampire movie of at least my youth and the way that I conceptualize vampires. On the one hand, you had Bram Stoker's Dracula, which you're doing next episode. I'm gonna spoil that right now. We already know that. We know that from last episode. But I had to go with my other iconic vampire movie from my youth, and that was 1994's Interview with the Vampire. So I am very excited to talk about this movie today. I saw this in the theaters when it came out in November, like 3 times in the theaters. I loved this movie when it came out. I love it to this day. I was so excited to see it again for who knows how high double digits I've seen this movie so many times. But I would like to know, boys, going into this, I'm gonna save you for last, Ryan, because I'm very curious to how much you knew or how little you knew about this movie. Dan, what was your experience with Interview the Vampire? Have you read the book? How many times have you seen the movie? Like, what do you know about this?
I have not. I haven't read any of the books. I remember it. It was huge in the 90s, so I remember seeing it. But I think I was still younger, so I didn't go to the theater. But I remember seeing it on video cassette, on VHS.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I saw it multiple times, on VHS because it was such an iconic movie with because Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, still big stars, but they were especially Brad Pitt was such a massive star at that time. Everybody's eyes was on him. So I remember hearing about this movie, and then I know that this opened the door to where I was like, oh, there's other Anne Rice stuff. Oh, there's other Lestat stuff. Oh, let me check all this other stuff out. So I never read any of the books past that, but anytime there was a movie that had to do with it, I was kind of curious about the rest of her universe, I guess, or world that she's writing in.
Oh yeah, 1 to 2 sentence capsule review of Queen of the Damned. Then
no, I don't. I didn't watch much of that one.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Although
right,
I
Ryan,
think a lot of people like Aaliyah in that movie, but
everyone loves Aaliyah, but that's the only reason to watch that movie. Ryan, what did you know about Interview with the Vampire going into this? And once again, for people that don't know, remind everybody what your history with vampires is coming into this. Like, you knew Twilight coming into this.
I feel like from the film perspective, yes, but vampires are very popular gothic horror mythological creatures in everything, right? So most of my experience came from vampires in other media, whether that was even as a kid growing up, right? There's vampires in Scooby-Doo, there's vampires in a bunch, they spoof vampires in cartoons all the time. I lead a Curse of Strahd campaign, which is almost directly pulled from Dracula in a bunch of ways.
That's Ravenloft, right?
Yes.
Is that Ravenloft? Okay,
yes,
yeah. Very,
Ravenloft
very Dracula. 60s and 70s, Hammer Dracula coated with the big cape and the
gothic horror, yes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I had read Bram Stoker's Dracula, the book, years ago.
Okay.
I had read and seen all the Twilight movies as a teenager, but most of my knowledge of vampires comes from the other surrounding media. As far as this movie goes, when it came out, I was 6 months old, so I know almost nothing.
No.
I did not know the actors or actresses. I didn't know the story. I didn't even know there was a novel series until we talked about it. So I knew, honestly, I was trying to figure out which one to watch because there's the whole TV series that I had to navigate through to find the movie. I knew pretty much nothing about this particular
by the way,
installment.
Just to throwing this out there real quick, the TV series is phenomenal.
Is it good?
Well,
phenomenal.
So I was at ironically, this is not a spoiler, so I can say it pre-spoiler warning. In the movie, at one point they show the Natchez in New Orleans, the steamboat. And ironically, last week I was in New Orleans for a bachelor party with a friend of mine, mentioned that we would be watching this movie, and he was all thrilled, thinking that I was talking about the TV series because he's super into the TV series. So then I'd be like, well, I don't know anything about the TV series. I'm watching the movies. Like, oh, I haven't seen the movie. I've seen it, but the TV show's great. And then also we saw the Natchez, and then I was watching the movie and I was like, holy shit! I just saw that boat last week. Anyway,
that's fantastic. Good. Great timing to get you into the mood for the movie. But hold on, this is what I have to ask though, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So again, quintessential vampire movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
What so when you say you're a big vampire guy,
yes,
what far as like when your idea of like an ideal vampire, like what's your ideal vampire look like? What is a vampire to you? Like, what are the rules like around your vampire? Is your vampire like, can it look at a cross? Can it come through across a threshold unless it's invited? Like what's your vampire? How does it work?
So we've touched on this a little bit before. I feel like for me, I kind of like the vampire with all the stuff, right? No reflections, can turn into fog mists. I'm iffy on wolves. I know that the wolf thing is like sometimes a thing. I don't think that like.
Why is that where you draw a line?
I just feel like the wolves are kind of an odd inclusion, I guess, of like
What?
it's fine. I don't have any issue with it, but like turning into bats feels like very iconically vampire. The wolves thing feels like just a little bit adjacent, but that's just my opinion. I have no issue with it. It's just that one was one that kind of like I was introduced later and I was like, that's an odd, but anyway, the stake in the heart, the running water, the no reflections, the drink
running
blood,
water.
The
Deep. You want the vampires to have all the vulnerability.
I like the
Sprig of Holly.
I don't know the Sprig of Holly one.
Oh yeah.
But the garlic, of course. Like like burns with crosses. I don't mind looking at crosses. Looking at crosses is fine, but like burns in contact with crosses. Although, ironically, in that note, I'm not huge on like religious narratives in stuff. And I feel like that's kind of hard to avoid with vampires because they tend to be like, they are like so much of it is anti-Christian, satanic. Yes.
but that's so I'm saying like, that's interesting that you say that because this movie and this book more specifically, when the book came out in 1976, we had just reached the end of Hammer horror films doing vampire movies. Hammer horror had failed and had kind of fallen apart and gone bankrupt by that point, and partly because people were sick of vampires and they weren't cool anymore. They'd gotten kind of cheesy. Yeah. And all the Draculas had become, kind of one note. We all knew what we were going to get. He was a cartoon. By the time we got to Monster Squad, like it was a costume, right? Curse of Strahd. It's a costume at that point.
Yes.
Where it's, and they always dress in evening wear, and they've got the big accent.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Exactly.
But I also love that. I love the kind of like high society, like, like I've been around so long, you can't comprehend social manipulation, but bound by these rules, vampires. I think that that's interesting of like, they're limited by the shortfalls of their being, right? By having this enormous power, they have strict limitations. They can't be in the sun. They can't enter without permission, whatever. But then the trade-off is that they live eternal lives, and they've got like charm powers of they can like manipulate social scenarios, and they can kind of like hypnotize people, and like they tend to be very sensual for some reason. Like I love all of that. It's like, it's juicy. It's my shit.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because not all vampires are sensual. There's certainly quite a few. If you especially look at like Nosferatu, F.W. Murnau, or even the Klaus Kinski and Werner Herzog remake, not sexy vampires at all. Like there is an element of.
It's fine.
Well, yes,
it's not a bad interpretation. I just think it's less fun.
Okay, so you're looking at like the fun vampire, but that's the thing I wanted to talk about.
I like the lightning strike. I think the lightning strike is like the most quintessential way of like, I like the vampire flares his cape and the lightning strikes. Like that is my vampires, right? It's like the gothic, like organ playing, grandiose. That's my shit.
But that's the thing. By 1976, that was considered cheesy and passé,
and it is,
and silly. And so this movie was, and these vampires in this are a reaction to that. Dan, what does your vampire look like? Like, what is your vampire, your ideal vampire? Like just a quick rundown of like powers and weaknesses, that kind of thing.
I guess, I mean, I do like the traditional, but I feel like because it feels so like there's been so much of it that I'm now more drawn to the types of vampires we will get into, like my choice, but something that's a little bit more like just like a like not that necessarily that they have these powers and have these limitations and like are at high society, almost like they're like the survival vampire is kind of like the one that I tend to like. The grunt ones, like the ones that are just trying to like just get through it, and like and they're always on the hunt. Like that one is very scary to me. But I guess because I was just so like, because I was, as a kid, like you're just being fed all of the traditional vampire like that you would see here in the movies that we're about to watch here, Scooby-Doo, all that, and all that kind of stuff. That like I was drawn to that. So like
to your blood.
Yeah,
exactly. And to revisit these two, but to revisit this one was like, it reminded me of that high society one, and like some of those elements I was like, this is really cool, like the way that they are, like the manipulation and the things that they do to get around, and like I guess I still lean towards more of the grunt survival vampire, but these ones are I'm not as in love with the traditional ones that like the way that Ryan's like describing all the elements and all those things. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sort of the other side of the coin, basically.
Yeah. So, well, then I can't wait to talk about this movie. And actually, I'm gonna, before I tell about like what kind of vampires I look for, we're gonna have to go ahead and give the spoiler warning right now.
Spoiler alert. All spoilers, including character deaths and plot twists, are now authorized. You have been warned.
Bam, bam, bam. That's right, because we're going to spoil Interview with the Vampire. And if you haven't seen it, please go see it. It is an excellent movie. There's a reason it has the reputation it does. High production value, incredible acting, incredible cinematography and direction and everything. It's well worth a watch before we even get to rating it and talking about it. It is worth checking out. But here's the thing. The vampires in Interview with the Vampire were mind-blowing to me when I first read this book in the early 90s, because this movie was coming out. For me, it was like, holy shit, someone finally took vampires seriously and said, what would a vampire look closer to being in the real world? Mm-hmm. Now, as she went on in her series, Anne Rice got really goony with vampires and created her own lore and backstory that at a certain point got absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know what she was thinking. She actually brings like the actual god and the actual devil into it, and it's ludicrous and stupid and terrible. But with the very first book, at least, and it was the only one that really connected with me as a teenager, because it is very much like a teenager's kind of edgy look on life. Len Louis has that kind of like angsty teenager thing to him. But it was revolutionary because she sits down, and one of the first things that she says, and you see it in the movie too, where Christian Slater gives like, hey, Brad Pitt, what's the rundown? Crosses. Stakes through the heart, sunlight, like all the vampire things that Ryan, you just talked about. And he's like, don't care about garlic. It's fine. Crucifixes. I love looking at crucifixes. No problem there. Don't have any issue. Like God's not out to get me.
Yeah.
I don't have some sort of like weakness to the Christian religion, which as a teenager who was finding my atheism, I was like, fuck yeah. Why would you? Yeah. Why would you care about one of the hundreds of gods that exist? Only because like where vampires came from in Eastern Europe and throughout all of the European cultures that created the modern vampire myth, that was all very like religious countries. So of course it must be a creature of Satan, right? Mm-hmm. So it must be anti-God. That makes complete sense. I love the fact that it was grounded more in sort of like, what would they really be like? And then also slightly ramped up where there was that sensuality, Ryan, that you're talking about, right? All of that stuff that was subtextual with Dracula, with Christopher Lee being tall, dark, and handsome, with Bela Lugosi being foreign and handsome. All of that was dialed up, and it's like, yeah, they are beautiful creatures. They are innately captivating. And one of the brilliant things about this movie was, after being in development hell for about 15 years, they finally got some genuine fucking movie stars to be in this movie. Because you need movie stars to play Anne Rice vampires.
Yeah.
That's what they are. Mm-hmm. You would need them to be beautiful and captivating. Two things that movie stars need to have to be movie stars. And who did they get? In his prime, Brad Pitt. And in his prime, Tom Cruise.
I will say it was very interesting that basically they made Brad, like, this was Brad Pitt as essentially like a Dorian Gray vampire, right? Like everyone's just slobbering over Brad Pitt of like, he's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Everybody just wants Brad Pitt. And so like, that was very funny, but I'm going to pour one out for the, oh yeah, the steak thing doesn't work. I was like, oh, that's such a quintessential vampire thing. You can't get rid of the steak.
But I love that it's like, why would a stake through the heart kill them? Like, you've got to stop their body from fucking working.
Yeah.
Burn them, like create such a grievous wound that they can't heal from it, something like that. And that's going to kill them, or sunlight. But, which I do like, that's one of the Goonie things she explains later that I kind of like the Goonie explanation for, but that's a whole other episode. We can do a bonus episode talking about Anne Rice vampires. That's not for right now. For right now, I want to talk about the movie stars in this movie. Specifically, why the fuck is Tom Cruise in this movie?
I was
right?
Well, I know, like, literally half of this movie, I was like, oh my God, it's Tom Cruise. Oh my God, that's Kirsten Dunst. Oh my God,
yes,
that's Antonio Banderas. Like, what?
Sexy Antonio Banderas. He's so
brilliantly cast. Well, like, brilliantly cast. And honestly, Kirsten Dunst kills it. But what's interesting, so Tom Cruise specifically, first off, I was like, what the fuck? That's Tom Cruise. Why is he here?
You didn't know he was in this movie?
I did not know he was in this movie. I knew I was like, and I caught him right away, and saw because of his makeup early on. Sasha was like, is that Tom Cruise? I was like, no, that's Tom Cruise for sure.
Wow.
But so we get into it, and I personally, just as an individual, I'm not the biggest fan of Tom Cruise as an actor. Personal things aside of the Scientology problematic, whatever, all the stuff of that's Tom Cruise, right? I just don't think he's particularly compelling to watch, and I have never really particularly enjoyed any of his movies. This movie was interesting because early on, I was like, oh, it's Tom Cruise. I'm really struggling getting behind watching Tom Cruise in this. But then by the end of the movie, Tom Cruise totally sold me in this movie. And Lestat ended up becoming one of my favorite characters of the whole thing. I was like, actually, he's really good in this. Like, I'm kind of remiss to say it as someone who's so generally like, Tom Cruise ain't great. He did really well in this. It's really impressive.
Oh, I love that you loved him. I mean, it's Tom Cruise is problematic. We're just going to get that out of the way right now. We all know the reasons why. Fine. He is also one of the last true movie stars. When you say he's not compelling, I might give you the point that he's not always going to be like the best quote unquote actor in the room. The man can act. Go watch Born on the 4th of July.
Like, I'm not saying he's not charismatic.
Exactly. But no, that's exactly what he is. That's compelling. When he's on screen, you can't take your fucking eyes off him.
I don't know.
It's a movie star.
I'm gonna be on the flip side because he's like, honestly, fucking Mission Impossible. That franchise is incredible. Like, I love every single one of those. Even the bad ones are bad. Like, even the bad ones are so good. But like, that whole franchise is just so great, and it's because like Tom Cruise like gives a shit about movies still.
He does.
He still like loves filmmaking, and he loves going to the movies, and that's like a big thing that I do like about him. The Scientology stuff, very hard to not look at that and take that into account. But I do have to say, when he's in stuff, he's such an interesting dude to watch, and I think I'm just a big Ethan Hunt fan. So I love that character. So it's just like it's hard for me to separate Tom Cruise from that guy. But I think you should watch Magnolia if you haven't seen Magnolia.
Did you like him in this movie though, Dan? Did he work for you as Lestat?
Oh yeah, I thought he was incredible in this movie. Yeah, he's great. He's great in this movie.
He's a great stunt guy, and he's got a great smile and laugh. And I think that carries him a long way. I think everything else is kind of ancillary.
I love that he fixed his smile late in his career. This is still like old snaggletooth Tom Cruise in this movie, where his teeth are like over here, and he's supposed to be a vampire, so teeth are like one of their things. Yeah, and they're supposed to be perfect, right? Like these vampires are supposed to like morph into being perfect when they become vampires. And Tom Cruise is like, fuck it, man. My teeth are squiggly as a vampire. I don't give a fuck. I'm still Tom Cruise.
Personality. And also, it's interesting that the perfect version of everyone is like, my hair is like a 1.5 long.
Revlon. Revlon commercials in this movie.
Pantene
my
sponsored
God.
movie.
Whole Antonio Banderas has got flowing locks down to his ass, and that shit is just.
But he's beautiful.
I was like, as I was watching this movie, I was like, I'm as a confident I can say this as a married man, kids. I was like, these men are gorgeous. What
They
the
are.
hell? I was like, every single, like, it was like, yeah, Tom Cruise. I'm like, beautiful.
I
Skin
go home with Antonio
It was
Banderas
like
in this
everybody's,
movie.
and then like Antonio Banderas, I'm like, what the fuck?
I
Oh,
totally go
he's
home with him.
he's like-
It's Pride
I was
Month.
like, this
it's
is crazy.
a perfect entry
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
to Pride Month.
And it's one of the great queer stories. And what's interesting is it almost didn't happen. Did you know that originally, like the studios were scared of the kind of like I wouldn't even say subtextual homosexuality in this movie, but
yeah,
like
there's that. Yeah.
like one thing that the book makes clear is that vampires are non-sexual
Mhm.
in that they don't have sex the way we think of it, but they bond emotionally, and so
Mhm.
they have relationships that are as deep or perhaps even deeper than our human relationships. So if you can be in a relationship with another man, but it's as involved as a human relationship, there's just no actual sex happening.
Yeah.
But it's still a queer relationship. And so, and Hollywood was scared of that. Originally, there was a draft of the script that had Louis as a woman, and it was going to be played by Cher, of all people.
Whoa,
So,
that'd
yeah,
be wild.
imagine that. But thank God they finally like sacked up, and a lot of people came together to make it happen and say, no, this is how the book is, and it's okay to, like, we're going to have these beautiful men all be on screen together and sharing some very intimate moments, and all of them completely aware, like, we are playing queer in this movie.
Mhm.
Not that that term applies to vampires, but it doesn't matter because they're going to have that level of connection where we see that
Mhm.
this is a actual relationship that they're having. You've got Brad Pitt almost making out with Antonio Banderas. Everyone's
Mhm.
looking dewy. And as you guys said, like, you can be as straight as an arrow and see this movie and be like, these guys are fucking hot.
Yes, they are.
Everyone's movie is delicious.
Sasha
Brad-
was like, "Are we watching a horror movie, or are we is this like a warm up movie?" Like, my goodness.
Yeah, as a warm-up movie. Are we going to interview the vampire and chill tonight?
no joke.
Because
Like,
it's like a subtly horny movie. It's not like overt,
it's
but
not
like you
subtle
definitely
at all.
You
It's,
definitely-
it's way less than subtle. They get this far from each other's face, and they zoom
Yeah.
in on it. Like,
Oh yeah, and those lips are so dewy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but that's the thing is but you look at Tom Cruise in this. Anne Rice was completely against the idea of Tom Cruise in this movie because Tom Cruise at the time had an image and they had an idea of what he could and couldn't do. And you didn't think of him as a guy who could play refined and,
Mhm.
very debonair. And like he took speech lessons, diction lessons for this. He took poise
Wow.
lessons. He like you said, Tom Cruise is a guy. If there's one thing that you can say about him, that's an absolute positive. This motherfucker cares about movies
Mhm.
and the movies that he's in, and he's a
he
committer.
commits. Yeah.
He's going to commit
Mhm.
1,000,000% to whatever he does, and you can see that hard work pay off here. And Anne Rice, famously during the filming of this movie, was still so pissed off that Tom Cruise was cast as her Lestat, her favorite character,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that she was like on the balcony of some sets throwing shit and like having a shit fits in the middle of filming because she
Mhm.
didn't think that he was doing a good job at Lestat. And it wasn't until she saw the final product she went, I take it all back.
Mhm.
Tom Cruise absolutely nailed it. He nailed Lestat. He was Lestat.
That's got to be vilifying. Like, that's got to be some vindication.
Vindicating. Yes.
Yes. And it is
Yes.
vilifying
That.
the other one.
Vilifying is he's the bad guy, but that's
Yes,
the thing. He's
sorry,
a great
vindicating.
But let's talk about that because he is kind of a weird villain in this. Like,
Mhm.
but yet you said he's also one of your favorite aspects
Yeah.
of it. So this is your first time watching the story. What did you like about these vampires as opposed to your vampires?
So
Mm.
I had mixed on the vampire aspect specifically. I had mixed feelings because on the one hand, I felt like these vampires, although beautiful and had some, I liked the social elements of, like we talked about, like what would happen when they blend into society, the whole like them kind of having to navigate as a unit and kind of the drama that would unfold between them of like being essentially trapped together in a world that changes around them. Like, oh, that was cool. But like specifically Louis and then some of the surrounding characters around, I didn't like the whole that like, because they're undead mystique characters, they're very monotone. They don't have a lot of range emotionally, which is kind of why I like Lestat in terms of like Lestat and I would say Claudia tend to be the more like they have a little bit more of a personality persona aspect, whereas like Louis, outside of his like nobility angle of like his morality that he fights with, didn't really have a lot of personality to him. He kind of is very one note mopey throughout the movie. He doesn't really get excited. He doesn't really get mad. He just kind of like mopes a lot of the time.
It's a great word for Louis is mopey.
Yeah, he's melancholy. And like that's
he's
fine,
a wet blanket.
But I wanted more dynamism in like I wanted more like it didn't, and I get I'm gonna say it felt less human, which like they aren't, but like it in order to blend in society, I like the charismatic, like socially driven vampires. And so to have these kind of like, this is my entire existence and I live here and I have a handful of notes that I can hit. Really, Lestat and Claudia were the two that I felt like had more like, okay, I can get behind these personalities, I can get behind these personas.
Sure.
They feel like more interesting vampires to me.
Well, that's interesting that you say that too, because, you know, Anne Rice does write these characters as being essentially permanent teenagers emotionally, for lack of a better description. All their emotions are extremely heightened along with their senses. So they feel everything so much more. So if Louis is feeling bummed, he's going to feel way more bummed than any human like him. It's a tough part to play. Brad Pitt tried to buy his way out of this movie in the middle of acting in it because he was so miserable shooting at night all of the time and playing this character who's essentially a big mopey reactor. He doesn't really take a lot of action. He's very much passive. And as much as I think it's actually a good performance on Brad Pitt's part, you can understand why he wanted to do more. It's just that's not who Louis is in the movie. In the book, there's a lot of internal stuff going on, but it's hard to show that in the movie. Dan, did you feel like Brad Pitt and Louis in this movie is a compelling main character, as like the person that you're following, or was it something where they should have had more dynamism in Louis' character?
I almost hearing Ryan talk about it made me kind of connect the tissue more in my head of that. I think that's why I really like this movie so much, is that it is taking a twist on that dynamic characterism that like all vampires have had for years. So those words don't make sense. But
no, we're with you.
We got you. Go ahead.
So like it was decades of these characters that could seduce the women and like, you know, like very control whatever they wanted. And this feels like this movie, and why I like it so much is that it really explores the loneliness and the horror of what it is to be immortal and to be a vampire. And so it's kind of cool to see Brad Pitt having to play the kind of anti-vampire where he is like this, like you wouldn't want to hang around and be like, oh man, I gotta go hang out with Louis again tonight. Like he's gonna be such a bummer. Like he's that kind of guy. So it's like, and so but it's like that's very opposite of what you feel as a vampire is, and that's cool because you get to see this other, you know, like if it was just a bunch of Lestats around, then it might just be this very fun, you know, entertaining movie. But to see this other side of like the sadness of it all was really cool, because that's something I had never seen before in a vampire movie.
You see, though, I will counter with, I think that Armand has this very detailed speech about like the whole, like, generally the reason we have so few vampires is they give up. Like they
stamina. I love that word, the stamina for immortality.
Yes. And that like they essentially take their own lives because they're lonely and because it's difficult. And that speech was very compelling. I thought Armand as a character was very cool. And I've seen other vampire stories kind of hit on that angle of like, imagine what it would be like to watch everyone around you die and still be here. And not only still be here, but be exactly the same as you were. Like you are 25 or whatever, and you watch everyone around you age and wither and die, and you don't get to go on that journey with them. Like that's something that I've seen done well in other mediums, but I feel like this one tried to take that and be like, and what if that was just a wet blanket on your entire existence and you can't, the rest of the world is a giant cage. And I was like, but there's so much more to it than that. It just felt a little bit ham-handed.
But I think that there is something really fascinating about what Anne Rice is capturing here, where she's saying, all right, vampires in this world are essentially creatures that are captured in amber in their most perfect form at the time of their birth to being a vampire, right? And they're frozen in that. And the only way that they can evolve or change is by learning from another vampire, absorbing this information from another vampire, connection of some sort. But at the same time, because in some ways they're so heightened emotionally and fragile as a result, and also they're imperfect as humans are, right? Louis, as you say, is a permanent mope. He's morose all the time. He'd be miserable to be around. But at the same time, there is something beautiful about his tragedy that would be captivating to someone like Armand or Louis. And there's something dynamic about his tragedy that they're attracted to. Conversely, for Louis, it's got to suck to be stuck with a malignant narcissist like Lestat, right? Who is dynamic and he's very engaging and charismatic and whatnot, but he's also just a piece of shit sometimes. Like he's all about Lestat and what Lestat wants. So there's something that's fascinating about seeing, instead of just a vampire being a creature that's always kind of beautiful and dark and I'm going to go suck some blood, what if we take that and think about what it would actually be like to live as one of these creatures captured at that moment of their death in this place where they're super emotional and then spread that out for eternity? What would actually happen to them? That is a fascinating mind exercise. And it's what this movie does. And it goes one step further if you get to the books. And this is one thing that with this movie, I look at and go, I wish we had gotten a direct sequel, because it ends in a way where you go, wait a minute, why is Lestat back? Why is he wearing a leather jacket?
How did he get to San Francisco?
How did he get to San Francisco? What's going on? Because it's answered in the books. And it sets it up for a sequel.
That's cool.
Because you find out, interestingly enough, that Louis, this is called The Interview with the Vampire, right? You find out that Louis is not a reliable narrator.
Oh, really?
So think about the way Louis even talks in this book. He just is so grand, is like, I was born to darkness and I live eternal. I feel nothing. I just live and I go and I eat people when I want to and I feel nothing and I see her face in every statue that I pass. Shut the fuck up, Louis. Jesus Christ.
Wine.
Right. Tom Cruise comes in at the end as Lestat and goes, oh, he's still fucking whining. God, Louis. And in the books, they kind of fucked the timeline up in the movie a little bit. In the books, this reporter publishes this interview and people find out vampires are real. And Lestat somewhere reads this and goes, I'm going to tell my side of the story. We had a terrible relationship. This is essentially a big breakup book where Louis like, and I left Armand in the train station because that bitch, he just wanted to take my youth. I told him, not today, Armand. I went and did my thing. And Lestat's like, no, that's not how that happened. And he's like, well, Lestat was just such a bastard to me and Claudia. And so we had to kill him and leave. And Lestat's like, that's not how I remember our breakup going. Yeah. So it's interesting to see that this movie is through Louis' perspective as well. So
it's basically Playhouse the Vampire series.
Right. And so there's a whole other level to this movie where we're looking at these vampires as human beings and they're conceptualized in a way that vampires never had been, because you're taking the myth of the vampire, the one that you're talking about, Ryan, and essentially making it a thought exercise of what would it really be like. So would you guys rather be one of these vampires or one of like your kinds of vampires? Dan, I don't think you're going to be want to be one of your vampires, a sustenance vampire.
No, I'd want to be one of these. Yeah, I'd be one of these like high society type, like that just kind of goes to parties and then like drinks some blood and then sleeps in a coffin all day.
Even though
in front of everybody and don't get caught, by the way. Right. Like that scene, they're like in the middle of a party drinking this woman's blood and they're like, she's dead as a doornail. And like throw.
Yeah. And he's like, that line was like, he's like, I can't kill her. And he's like, I did it for you. He's like, fuck, jeez.
It's like, well, what? Okay. No, but that's the thing though, Dan, like you say, even with the curse of immortality and loneliness and like the fact that you can't really change and you need to find someone to keep you quickened, as it were, like you'd still go for these vampires?
Yeah, because I mean, the ones that I actually do like because they're a bit more terrifying. I mean, to actually be them would be horrible, because you'll see, Ryan, but man.
We'll get there. Yeah. What about you, Ryan? Would you rather go for like
answer? Super gothic, super. I want the lightning, baby. I want the lightning.
Oh, really?
Give me the lightning.
You'd want to be like anti-God, work for Satan.
I mean, it doesn't
you step in.
I've never seen it as like the work for Satan thing. I've usually seen it as like the because they're undead, they are antithesis to religion of like undead is a sacrilege to all things holy because death is death in life and the circle is natural. But and then like I've always kind of interpreted it as like the Christian faith is interpreting this thing that they can't conceptualize as like this must be unholy. And then there I like the cross thing. I've just kind of been like, they've got weaknesses, right? Like it's less about like working for Satan and God and more about like silver and shit. But anyway, I think it's the powers are cool. And like it was interesting, they kind of had some powers in this of like some of them could move fast and some of them could kind of fly and whatever. But like they have a throwaway. I one of the issues I had was there's a lot of stuff that was just kind of thrown away lines that I guess is explained in the books in more detail. But like snakes don't work. End of sentence. End of explanation. Never mentioned again. Like, oh yeah, everybody. I can't read her mind. Oh well, everybody's got different stuff. It happens. End of line. No explanation.
The dark gift is different for all of us.
Yes, which is cool as a concept. But then like what? Like give Louis something unique. We didn't have Louis. I bet like it basically just like Louis just exists for the rest of the movie.
Louis' superpower is just to be bitchy.
Yeah,
that's Louis' superpower.
Louis doesn't get anything. Like, and even,
although,
yes,
I was just gonna say, to be fair, Louis doesn't get anything, to your point, but he does. Like, everyone's superpower in this movie is to be a giant bitch. Like, everyone is just the most queenie, bitchy. Like, I can't believe you said that to me. You know, like what the hell? Why is everyone turned? Yeah, I gave them laudanum. Keeps the blood warm.
Yeah,
bitch. Like it's
everybody's got a head waggle. But like
we had a joke. Go ahead.
No, after you.
Oh, I was just gonna say on our joke for anyone who listens to our accented editions patrons. We had a whole joke where we said this movie would be 1,000,000 times better if after every line they just added the word bitch because
you've
it
been
works
a very naughty girl. Bitch.
So the movie would be Interview with a Vampire. Bitch,
comma, the bitch edition. I like that.
Edition.
Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, even Claudia gets the whole thing where she can like see people's intention through their souls or whatever. But then also she can't turn people for some reason.
Right.
She's like, I'm too young, I guess, question mark. Of like, I don't have the capability to convert my own vampire, so I need someone else to do it for me. There's some weirdness there.
Kirsten Dunst, when this movie came out, we all just watched this movie and went, who the hell
is that?
She's so good.
Girl.
She killed this.
Pardon the pun. She really did. And they wanted to go younger because in the book, Claudia's 5.
Oh my
God. But obviously you can't really pull that off with an actress. And as it was, they had to be very careful around Kirsten because she was a little young for this movie.
Well, there's some weird aspects of the whole, like, to your point, they become a bonded pair and there's like some weird, like kind of mature themed vibes between you're like, this is weird from like but for the most part, I feel like they managed to navigate it fairly fine, but there's definitely some awkwardness. And I was also thinking just from a conceptual perspective, she would become, I guess, I hadn't considered, to your point, that they're like preserved as they are, because I was thinking, at least from the like my version of vampires, they become more elevated and more sophisticated because they have years to study and do whatever the hell they want, and they become very refined that way, and so they become super mature and adept just through the concept of time. Whereas like I was like, she would become very mature, but then she would have to fake being immature all the time. But I guess to your point, if that's not the case with this this pantheon, so to speak, she just is what she is. That makes it a little bit more difficult.
She does get maturity. So you have this 75-year-old woman in the body of book 5-year-old, which is creepy and hellish in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And actually, interestingly enough, in the book, just a little bit of trivia before we get to our endings here. In the book, when you meet Armand in the movie, right? And there's the moment he brings them downstairs into that incredible catacombs set.
The coven.
And then he feeds him the little boy. He's like, hey, taste this little boy. In the book, they were reversed. The little boy was Armand. Armand was another cherub, like young vampire.
That's weird.
Not sexy Antonio Banderas.
That's wild.
He was this little cherubic boy. which is
Well, then that would be
weird.
crazy that he does like it's prohibited to make someone that young.
He's like, and I can speak to it, you know, and there is a certain amount of like kind of abuse and trauma that's in this movie, like, you know, where in a way there's almost a subtext that how Lestat creates Louis is kind of coercive, where he says, you know, you never could refuse me, you know, even when I turned you. And it's kind of like saying like, yeah, the first time we had sex, you didn't say no. I kind of wormed my way in there, right? And it's
I gave you the choice, quote
yeah,
unquote.
but it was
a
it
choice
really
I
a
never
choice?
had. Yeah.
Which with the choice I never had, and that is something interesting in the Vampire Lestat book, is you get into his backstory, and it is very abusive what happened to him.
Well, that's always I feel like that's a huge subtext for vampire stuff in general. Is like control is always a very very tied to vampires in terms of like they tend to be kind of megalomaniac like ego, and they have control issues, and like whether or not you've got the versions that make thralls that are like completely under your control, but then you've also got like they even kind of imply with this that like the people who create you have a certain bond tie to you that's important. They don't really have like direct influence, it doesn't appear like, but the fact that so many people refer to like, oh, like the one who made you, there's this kind of like
the sire,
there's this gravitas and kind of this like import to that of like there's some bond or tie there that's important in their society. And then I feel like, and I haven't read the books, I feel like it's implied that the fact that Armand knows Lestat, and Lestat keeps referring to the stuff.
Yes, he does.
Like, was Armand the one who created Lestat?
No, but they were lovers. Well, as vampire, they were vampire companions.
Interesting.
Well. It's a whole thing. And honestly, Ryan, I will say this. Actually, both of you boys, I think, would really enjoy at least the first few of the novels. Like, they do get really goony, and she makes some absolutely horrific creative choices. But there's also some really cool lore that Ryan, I think you in particular would really enjoy, and that she kind of pioneered in the vampire genre. So they're worth a read, and you can take from it what you will, and then discard the rest, kind of like I did. But we got to get to the Fuck That Guy award, or as it should now be known, maybe the Fuck That Bear.
The Baron Bailey award, baby.
The Baron Bailey award. Someone in this movie that we just absolutely could not stand, and we wanted to tell them to go fuck themselves. Fuck that guy. Ryan Ross Live, why don't you tell us someone in this movie that can go fuck themselves?
So I don't know his name, but it's the guy who leads the play outside of Armand.
Santiago. Played
Santiago.
by Stephen Ray.
Cool
Great performance,
character.
great actor.
Very cool character. Yep. Absolute dickweed. Holy, what an absolute piece of shit that guy was. Super cool. One of the more interesting vampires in the movie. More dynamic, has cool powers, has cool moments within the narrative. Dumb death, but like...
What?
Oh,
that was an amazing death.
We'll get to that.
So cool.
Anyway,
I love that.
Fuck that guy. That guy's
that
a piece of shit. Leads the whole group. Ugh.
Dude, there's that one moment where, and I always get like a little misty at the scene when he finds them burned in the shaft, right?
Oh,
He goes and he touches her, and she fades away.
That was such a cool shot, though.
So
can we talk about how metal that shot was? Of just like they show it, and you're like, that's sick. But then he goes over and it crumbles, and you're like, oh, they actually did it practical.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's a little bit digital, little digital, little practical, and then you cut to Brad Pitt with the ash of the love of his life just blowing all over his face, and him just reacting and going back into the tunnel and seeing everyone standing there, and the look on his face is probably one of my favorite Brad Pitt moments in all of cinema, because they have his contacts on fire. Like, his eyes are bloodshot, his contacts are flaming, and Antonio Banderas is behind him going, bro, not right now. Bro, not right now. And you cut to your boy, Santiago, and he's like, he gives this shit-eating little,
Yeah.
What you gonna do, dude?
Oh, man. Oh, man.
You know, boy, that is such a, I love that moment so much. Dan, who are you giving the fuck this guy? Oh, no, Ryan, go. You have something to say about him.
Can we talk about power and control of the vampire narrative? Armand manipulates the coven to kill Claudia so that he can get to Louis, because Claudia is the only thing standing in the way of Louis, and then he throws the coven under Louis's wrath, in order to vindicate Louis so that Louis will come back to him. Like, oh, it's so juicy. Anyway.
It's so and it's great, and it's also, you're saying about Louis never does anything. Louis kills the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
That's the best Louis moment. Is Louis actually like doing like, I'm gonna do something for once?
Yeah, and boy, does he ever do so. Don't piss Louis off. You would not like Louis when he's mad. Oh my god,
so good.
Dan March of Madness. Who are we telling to fuck off and Interview with the Vampire?
That's the same. I thought we all agreed upon it. I mean,
we all agreed on Santiago?
I can't think of anybody else. Santiago, like, yeah, he leads everything else. He leads it all that takes her out. And I'm like, I was even like, man, to like, if you were Brad Pitt and you didn't get out of that locked coffin and you're buried in a wall for eternity, like I was just thinking about that, like, oh, you're not gonna die. Like, it's just like,
you're
that's
just stuck
wild.
There.
Yeah.
You want a thought experiment? Think about how many other vampires are in those walls.
Yep.
Oh god.
That are in there.
We were talking about inspirations and other vampire media in the I Strahd novel that's written based off of so there's the I Strahd novel is an extension of like Dracula inspiration. One of the ways that Strahd takes vengeance on another person from his past is he buries him alive in a mausoleum in a coffin, so that the only sounds is his nails scratching against the wood on the way out, and he's just going to starve in there to death.
Yeah.
And I think he turns him first so that he's going to starve for eternity trying to scratch his way out of this mausoleum.
Just a horrible, brutal way of going out. I'm going to have to give the fuck that guy award to Louis, because Jesus Christ, I've seen this movie as many times as I have. He's insufferable. He's insufferable when you know that he's an unreliable narrator, and the entire time he's manipulating the story so that he looks good in everything. It is to hear his story is just eye rolling. It's just, oh, shut the fuck up, Louis, the entire time. And I love this movie, and I could watch it over and over and over again. But every time, I just want to slap Louis upside the face. Oh, you just whiny, mopey bitch. God.
There it is.
All right.
Bitch.
This is why you die, bitch. This is why most time we've ever said that word on this show, I think. This is why you died. It's the name of the show. It's what we're here to do. We got to talk about why someone died in a dumb way and Interview with the Vampire. And we have a few likely candidates. Ryan Ross Live, tell us why someone died in Interview with the Vampire.
I'm going to go with Santiago again.
Fucking
Santiago, literally, he's showing off. He's doing his teleporty speed shit. And what does he do? He comes behind the one predictable place and just gets slashed into.
Oh, it's so good.
That is a good one.
Cool moment, dumb death. You got
such
the drop on him, and you're just showboating and just get sliced.
Yes. But it's such a perfect thing for his character, because he's like, I know what I'm doing, and Brad Pitt's like, the fuck you do.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets the fuck around and find out award for this movie.
1,000%.
He played with Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt does not Brad Pitt does not pray. And Brad Pitt does not play in this movie. Yes, I don't know why he's Russian, but okay.
Because
Brad Pitt does not play in this movie, and he did not play around Santiago. Fuck around and find out. Santiago, that was mine. I absolutely give it to him too. Dan, why did someone die in Interview with the Vampire?
Man, I can't. You guys got that. Santiago's so good. His death is so great. Yeah,
it is so good.
Oh, let's just go with if you got two beautiful men sitting together that want to hang out with you and you're a lady, like, don't trust them. Because you're going to die at that
talk
table,
about a Baron Bailey
know?
award.
Wow, that's a good point, Dan.
I mean, like, every woman that sat down, she never left that table.
That's right. There's old ladies walking off into the woods with these beautiful young men. It's like, no, lady, choose the bear. Don't choose this man. Yep. He's going to kill your dogs, and then his friend's going to break your neck. Absolutely.
Can we talk about the scene where they're in the hotel room and in great Lestat fashion, he has a coffin hidden under the coffee table.
Oh, it's so good.
It's poof and a coffin.
Oh, I love that scene so much, and she's just sitting there going like,
showboating.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing with his food,
it's so
and Louis
good.
Just disgusted. He's like, "Ugh, I cannot believe you're doing this to me." With Brad Pitt's questionable Cajun accent,
oh my god!
I'm so
what accent?
tormented.
What Cajun accent? There was no accent.
Who cares? We can live without it. We don't need it. That's such a beautiful scene. And that girl right there, jump out the window.
Yeah,
you
dude.
died because instead of like, I
You're
mean, I know you're
begging
probably
the
weak from
other
loss
one?
of blood.
They're talking
Right.
about all this stuff and you're begging him? Like, bail.
Does he look any more safe than the blonde one who's screaming and raving and
Yeah.
Oh my God. I guess that woman just had a Mission Impossible though, so she wasn't getting out of
there
that
it
room
is.
alive. But all right, let's figure out what we think of Interview the Vampire. I am very curious to hear what you guys are going to rate this in our Scully Awards. Ryan Ross Live, how many Scullys out of 10 do you give to Interview with the Vampire?
So I'll be honest, I was gonna go 7.5.
You son of a...
I because the thing is,
why so low?
I think I mentioned I struggled with some of the vampire interpretations just throughout. And I think honestly, but beyond that, the structure of the movie is rough for me. Of the fact that this movie is entirely framed by, we're going to have this interview. We're going to set it up as like, this is like a taped interview. And then we're basically going to tell the story. And then like, we're going to keep like the interview part, as much as it is a framing device, feels, it messes with the pacing for me. Of like, I would rather it just be, we witness his story. The interview thing feels very extraneous, and I don't know how much of that is specific to the book narrative and they're just trying to be loyal to it. But from a film perspective, I feel like it just weighs the rest of the movie down and is just chaff. I don't really need, other than the Lestat reveal at the end, which I think is good. All the other interview scenes are pretty bland and not super, don't really add a lot for me. And so I was going to go 7.5. I will say, after talking about it, the relationship aspect and the way that we dive into kind of the dynamics of their relationships and learning that like the companion thing is more of an important narrative in the books. I wish that was better represented in the film, because it's kind of subtle in the film of like, they refer to it, but the deepened relationships and the way they transfer information and the emotional stuff that as you're explaining it is cool. It's not very well portrayed or conveyed in the message of the film, other than through hinting. They kind of refer to it, but it's, as with other things, referred to and moved on from, and it's the inference isn't, it doesn't really portray it or demonstrate it.
You didn't see it. You didn't see it in the first time
it's
watching
inferred,
it. Okay.
not demonstrated, which is fine. But like, if we're going to have that be a core element of like, this is how this works, it should have more impact and actual visibility within the story than just inferred through conversation subtly. So I'm going to go with an 8, I think, at the end of the day. Right. I think it's good. It's not my favorite. And I think that but the acting's incredible. And I think the acting, the period piece aspects, the costumes, like all that stuff really lifts it up.
Cinematography, art direction, everything. Yeah.
Like
beautiful
that stuff is super great. And I think that was a lot of what I enjoyed about it. It just was tough with the vampire and the structure. I didn't like the structure of this movie.
Stan Winston's special effects also are incredible in this movie. The vampire turning scenes where like they use some early special, like the digital effects to like bring their teeth out.
And the hair coming back.
Eyes, the hair.
Like that stuff was cool.
And the blood, where they have like that Tom Cruise maquette that desaturates and like dies, right?
Well, his makeup was insane in this movie.
Desanguinates, I should say. Desanguinates.
All of Tom Cruise's makeup was a huge standout in this movie. Like they did a really good job, sometimes even making it not look like Tom Cruise. Like that. There's a number of things that were very well done. I think, unfortunately, some of the core elements were like the structure and the way the story was told, and then just the vampires. And like, I wanted more from those things, and so it was hard to get around. But I'm giving it an 8.
All right, you know what? 8 from a guy who was stuck on the old kind of like the Dracula vampires. All right, fair enough. Dan, March of Madness, what do you give to Interview with the Vampire?
I'm right around the same area as Ryan. I was gonna go. I think I'm gonna land at a 7.5. A bit lower, just because. I mean, even though Sinners was my favorite movie of last year, like you said, it's not really a vampire movie, and so watching this, I'm like, I guess I do like vampires in horror. I'm just not drawn to them, and I'm not like in love with the whole, like a whole story about it. So I was It's a bit lower, probably, I guess. But I just remember that seeing Kirsten Dunst's role, it's like Haley Joel Osment in the
Yes.
Sixth Sense. It's one of these like kid iconic roles where like, where did they come from? And then like just to watch her and you're just like, man, she's like, just seeing her in, like Civil War and stuff where she's like, just like the actress she's become is just so different from where she's been, and like seeing her in stuff like Jumanji and just like seeing her career and going back to and revisiting
It's
this.
very cool.
You see the talent and where it came from. And screw it, I'm going up to 8 because like I was gonna go 7.5, but it's like it's still it's a really good movie. And I remember when I watched it the first time, the fact that it started in the present in San Francisco was such a it just really took me out of this like, oh, this is going to be a different kind of vampire movie. And so, so much has now come since this movie, so much of TV, so much of just vampires in normal daily life that's become acceptable. This was kind of one that paved the way of like,
massively.
This is told that story, but was able to travel through time and tell their story across the 100 years or multiple centuries. So I'll go with an 8. It's an important movie up there. Brad Pitt, hard to watch, but
I love a good March of March.
Yeah.
I love when you march yourself up to a higher.
I marched it back up. I went higher. I went 8. Is that Kirsten Dunst, man? That seeing her get revenge on Lestat is so satisfying. You're like, fuck yeah, like just get her, get it.
I'll put you in your coffin, bitch.
Yeah, that whole scene is so great.
Her tantrum where she cuts her hair, I was like, God, she's on it. And then like seeing her like walk around in the fancy outfits, like all regal, I was like, this is such a great role.
The poise is so incredible on her. You know what, boys? I think I'm going to go quite a bit higher than you guys. I adore this freaking movie. And Dan, you talked about like the opening with San Francisco. That's one of my favorite opening shots, coming over the Golden Gate, flowing up that street and being in the town, and the beautiful crane shot down, and you're going through the streets. It's like seeing this pulsing, living thing, all the people, right? You see what a vampire sees, all these potential victims, the flow of ebb and flow of life out there and everything. Like he's up there watching it all. I love how that starts. And Ryan, to your point, I actually do understand what you mean. I think the ending of this movie is a mess. I think once the interview ends, they didn't know how to end this story. And so they went with some very kind of just a very messy ending to this movie. Maybe trying to get a sequel, but the problem is when you don't have a direct sequel afterwards, it means that this is how it's ending forever. And it's just not a good ending at all. I do think the structure is a little bit, it's better as a novel than it is as a movie, where it seems like a sequence of events. Yeah. But man, I'm so used to the rhythms of the movie now that I don't really mind it as much. The only thing that bothers me now is that I can't connect to it the same way that I could, because it is so angsty, and because Anne Rice, I think, as a writer is very, I don't even know how because I don't think a lot of her negative aspects really showed up in her early books. It wasn't until later. But I think that there's a certain level of pretentiousness and like kind of navel gazing that exists here, where
navel gazing.
Yeah, like just Louis is a navel gazer, right?
I'm not familiar with the term navel gazing.
Just meaning that he's always mopey and he's always kind of like looking inward and contemplating himself. And at a certain point, it's
looking
like,
at one's
yourself,
navel,
dude.
looking.
Get over yourself, man. Like, as much as, there was a point in my life where I really connected to like the way that he was searching for meaning, and he was searching for a purpose and searching for like a moral clarity to his own existence. And there's something really captivating about that, but there's something that's also really kind of teenage angsty.
Yeah.
And just, it's painful and kind of cringy on some levels as well. And so I had to kind of pull back emotionally from a lot of aspects of this movie. It's what I'm talking about when I say that when I watch this now, Louis, I can't stand him as a character. And so it makes it harder for me to connect to the movie. So I'm going to give it a 9. Still love it. I adore this movie from a technical standpoint on so many levels. The performances, as you guys say, the look. There's a lot of scenes that for me are all time for vampire movies, but it's a 9 out of 10. Adore this movie, but not perfect by a long shot. Doesn't need to be. It's still going to be one of my all-time favorite movies, all-time favorite vampire movies. So, all right. Well, we disagreed a little bit on this movie. I'm curious to see what we find with our other vampire movies which are coming up. Perhaps because we already know what they are, do you guys want to introduce what our next 2 episodes are going to be? Ryan, what are we watching next week?
Next week, we'll be watching, is it Bram or Bram? I always thought it was Bram Stoker. Is it Bram Stoker?
I don't think anyone's going to correct you.
I'm going to call it Bram. We're going to be watching Bram Stoker's Dracula next
That
week.
sounds wrong when you say it out loud like
It does,
that.
doesn't it?
Stoker?
Yeah,
sounds a
I
little
think
Bram.
you say Bram.
Bram
Now say
Stoker's?
Yeah, that sounds
sounds a
better.
little-
I'll look it up. We'll find out.
Francis Ford Coppola's Stoker's Dracula. There we go.
There
We're
it
watching that
is.
one next week. That's going to be an interesting juxtaposition to this movie because very different vampires in that one, as you'll see, Ryan. And then, Dan, what do we have coming up for vampires the week after that?
And then just another 180 of vampires, and we're going to go with 28 Days of Night. And
Wait, what?
What?
We're watching vampire zombies? What are you
Huh?
talking about? 30
Yeah.
days of
30
night.
days
Dan.
of
30
night.
days of night.
30,
Oops.
there we go.
28 Days of Night. See, you're talking about zombie movies. Or was I talking about the Sandra Bullock alcoholic movie, 28 Days?
No,
Sorry,
you weren't.
tangent.
That's 3
Anyways,
movies should be never in
yeah.
the same sentence.
30 Days of Night. Sorry,
Yes.
wrong zombie is mixed with vampire. 30
He
Days of
hasn't had
Night.
enough
We'll be
blood
watching that
today.
one.
He
No,
has, Dan.
yeah.
All right, Dan, you need to go drink some blood. I can tell you've
I
been
do.
exsanguinated.
I do.
But yeah, so some great vampire movies coming up and looking forward to juxtaposing those with this movie.
One quick note before we go. Sinners had better vampires than this movie.
Oh, get out.
I'm just gonna
Get
say
out.
it.
We're done.
They were better.
We're done.
Wow.
Boys,
They're better
Dan,
better
tell them where
vampires.
they can find us. Ryan, tell them about Patreon. We're going to head towards the exits of the theater. Dan, where can they find us?
If you guys go to beacons.ai/TIWYD pod, that's where you can find our links to listen to everywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find our YouTube channel and you can find our store so you can purchase all of our great, amazing things like the stickers that have our faces on it, the shirt that Ryan is wearing, and that thing that he's
It's a
holding. Is that a
coaster.
coaster? He's got a
Is that
coaster?
Oh, that's sick.
That's so cool. I want the
a
coaster.
Yeah,
Dan,
I
get a
think I have a
coaster.
beanie that is ordered and it's
Yes.
on its way.
Yeah. It's
Or
on its
we
way.
need to meet up and we have to have lunch so that
a
you
new
can give me
Marcha
my
beanie. Oh
It's
my
true.
God.
It's coming.
God.
Uh-oh.
I
My
haven't got it
old
yet.
Your
Marcha
head-
beanie's in Switzerland right now. So
Yeah, your
Mhm.
head's naked. It looks weird,
Mhm.
dude. I'm not okay with it.
I know.
But
This is what my hair looks
And
like.
if you want
Ryan-
discounts on the merchandise, let me tell you about our Patreon, because
There
we have
it
a
is.
Patreon with
We do.
various tiers available, some of which are as cheap as a coffee, and it only charges you once a month. So if you can afford a coffee once a month, you can afford the Patreon.
Whoa.
And they all have exclusive tier perks available for all the different tiers, including merch discounts, access to the extended episodes where we chop it up with each other, bonus content, which we release monthly, and the highest tier is our dedicated benefactors, which allows you a personalized shout out every single episode. So thank you so much to our lovely CG. CG, thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you to everyone who chooses to support the Patreon. But if you choose to listen and the Patreon isn't something that you're interested in, no worries at all. We really appreciate you choosing to listen and spend time with us, because the podcast would be nothing without each and every one of you dedicated listeners spending time with us, hanging out, sharing the episodes with your friends, and growing the community, because we really appreciate it. We love doing this with you guys. We love sharing it.
Amen.
And please let us know the things that you'd like to see so we can adapt them into the show. We want to give you guys the best experience possible. So thank you guys for being here and spending your time with us.
Agreed 110% with Ryan on that, if not on his take on vampires. But yeah, so we hope you guys come back and check us out next. We've got more vampires coming your way on the next episode. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And maybe Ryan will actually find one he likes better than Irish jig dancing vampires. We don't know.
Dracula.
Maybe they have to sparkle for him to like them. I don't know. But
we don't need disco
that
ball
is-
vampires.
we will find out as we go on. But that's going to be it for this episode. So for Ryan Ross Live, for Dan Marchamanis, I am Sir Ian Dangerous saying see you next time right here on
This is why you die.